Hello everyone and welcome back to another episode of my F1 2021 My Team Career Mode. We're here today for round 3 of Season 2, the Portuguese Grand Prix. And heading into this one, feeling pretty good. We've had 2 good results so far, 2 4th place finishes in the first 2 rounds. So looking good heading into this one, and our car is only getting better. It's been a long break between episodes in terms of the days that have transpired in-game. And that means the R&D order has really shaken up there, as you can see just a few seconds ago. We're going to get an ICE reliability upgrade as well, but that won't be doing too much, really, just hopefully avoiding some mechanical failures over the season. But yeah, you can see we get through into Q2 just about there, down quite low in 16th position. Sonoda looking a lot more convincing in our car around here, so ironically, now that our car is competitive and in a place where we could realistically maybe fight for podiums, looking at the R&D chart, we're nowhere all of a sudden. Whereas in the first 2 rounds, we're getting results that we really shouldn't be. So it's all flipped around. So we need to improve in Q2 because this isn't good enough. We're way behind Sonoda. So yeah, we need to do better. So here we go then. We into Q2, and we'll show probably the start and end of this lap. You can see just a little bit wayward through the first few corners, and that kind of continues over the course of the lap. Obviously, Portimao is a very new circuit to the Formula 1 games. This is only my 2nd time coming to this circuit. I did the 100% race when I was first learning the track, and that's it. And a few laps in practice, of course. But other than that, this is the first time coming here in a career mode on my team sort of format. So yeah, I've still got plenty of learning to do around this circuit. I don't have the kind of muscle memory, I suppose, of how to drive around this circuit. But yeah, the excuses out of the way. We are knocked out in Q2, unfortunately. I think we ended up down in 15th in the end, so yeah, it's not good enough. We need to do better. I think we out-qualified Fernando Alonso. We're just off screen there at the bottom at the moment. But Sonoda gets through into Q3, so that's good, showing our car does have pace. I don't think it's quite as fast as what the R&D chart may suggest. I don't think we're quite in the fight for podiums yet. That said, a Ferrari is knocked out as well. It's Charles Leclerc, so who knows? It's all a bit of a mixed bag here in Portugal. But yeah, Nikita Mazepin in the Mercedes also knocked out, and I think they have the best car. So yeah, it's not just car dependent. The driver makes a difference, and today we didn't do that.
Welcome along then to Portimao, one of the busiest towns in the Algarve and a breathtaking destination that brings tourists from all around the world to the shores of southern Portugal. Today it's the backdrop for the latest round of the Formula 1 World Championship, and with a circuit this wide, we could be in for a lot of exciting wheel-to-wheel action today. 2.9 miles of track at Portimao, featuring 15 turns, 9 to the right and 6 to the left. There's a lot going on here, a lot of elevation changes that will affect the driver's braking and acceleration. Keep an eye out for the DRS zone on the final straight. That will be the setup for a lot of today's overtaking chances. With me today, of course, is Anthony Davidson. Let's start with Aston Martin. There have been some tweaks to the power unit regulations, of course, and I have to say it doesn't seem, so far at least, that they've been able to keep up.
There are a few downcast looks within the team this weekend. I think they've been hit fairly hard by the new regs. But this is only the first step down a long road of development, and even if they don't maximise their points today, there are plenty more up for grabs this season.
Before we begin, let's take a quick look at the grid lineup for today's race. Lewis Hamilton lines up on pole position, and Max Verstappen lines up alongside. Considering the rest of the grid, we have Perez, Norris, Daniel Ricciardo, and Sainz, Gasly, Sonoda, Vettel, and Charles Leclerc, Mazepin, Giovinazzi, Lance Stroll, the scientist, Fernando Alonso, Matsushita, Kimi Raikkonen, and George Russell. Latifi, Ocon, they'll be starting further back after an earlier grid penalty. Bottas and Mick Schumacher. It's almost time for the lights to go out, so let's head down to the track and get this Grand Prix underway.
After the points finish last race, let's aim to keep the momentum going.
Let's aim to keep the momentum going. We need some after that qualifying session because, as I said, that is not good enough. So let's try to do better in the race. Strategy will be 2 sets of softs to a set of mediums. The alternative is using 2 sets of medium tyres. Also, it could be a good option. We'll see how tyre temperatures and all of that go, but I don't think it'll be a huge problem, but we'll see, I suppose, as we now go to the 5. Red lights, and it's lights out, and away we go for the Portuguese Grand Prix as we get a really great launch off the line, and we immediately look to the inside and try and gain some places down towards the first corner. Can we go late on the brakes and overtake a few cars here? We can, and we've already moved our way up the yellow flags. Is that going to be anything? I don't think so. And we continue to slice our way up the inside. A big slide on the exit there as we go around the outside and just about get back ahead of Nikita Mazepin, the Russian driver, yet to score points in Formula 1, and he's had a pretty rough start at Mercedes. A DNF in the first race, albeit a mechanical one, and then no points in round 2, so Mazepin will really be hoping to break into the points because Mercedes will be putting a lot of pressure on him. Meanwhile, we're fighting away with Sebastian Vettel. The German gets through, and we slot in behind the Aston Martin once again, and we will try our best to re-overtake him along the main straight when we get there. It's probably the best overtaking opportunity on the circuit into the first corner. It's a relatively heavy braking zone. All of this back section, there's not really any opportunities to get past, so it's yeah, probably down into the first corner or down into the end of the other DRS zone. I'm not sure the corner numbers around this circuit, but we go take a very wide line through the final corner after lift on the exit, but we actually have a decent slipstream here nonetheless from Sebastian Vettel. As we have a look to the left, we actually got 2 wheels off circuit there on the grass as we head into the first corner. Off circuit completely there around the outside, but we do get through on Sebastian Vettel. Apparently that's an okay move. I'm not too convinced that is okay, but we got away with it, so we're going to try and hold the position for now and see what the pace is like, but we'll see, I suppose, as we continue on. And lap 3 now, towards the end of lap 3, and you can see we've got Tsunoda in front of us, our teammate. He's made a decent start too, as we get a bit of a loss of the back end there, heading now through the final corner, but that's cost us some time. And now Nikita Mazepin in the Mercedes is finally potentially going to break into the points as he overtakes us and moves himself into the top 10. We have a little look back up the inside, but he's way too far ahead by the time we get to the next corner, and as we move on, he's cleared off into the distance. So Mazepin is moving forwards in this one, and he'll be hoping and praying that nothing goes wrong with his car this time, and that he can make it to the end. Meanwhile, a mistake for us. Alonso gets past. We go back up the inside, and Alonso switches back and gets back through. We're just way too late on the brakes there in that battle, and yeah, we had no chance to re-overtake Alonso in that way. So as we continue on, you can see Tsunoda has not really had a great race either, so maybe our car just is not performing around this circuit, because he's dropped out of the top 10 as well, behind Fernando Alonso, and of course been overtaken by Nikita Mazepin as well. So yeah, it's not been a great race for either of us in the team, as Charles Leclerc also is not having a good day. He is out of the race with a mechanical failure. That will elevate Tsunoda back into the points, so not all hope is lost as we get very, very close to ending our entire race there, almost running into the back of Leclerc. I don't know why I noticed him there so late, but yeah, unknowns to me, he was having that mechanical failure at the time, and we were so close. Unfortunately, there's not many great replay cameras of that, but you can see we turned very aggressively across the track to avoid him at the last possible moment there. Look how close this is. That is a very lucky escape for us, but an escape nonetheless, and we continue on in this race. But yeah, we're sitting in 11th position now, so knocking on the door of the points. If there's anyone in the top 10 that has an issue, we will find our way up into the top 10, so hopefully we can still claw back some points in this one. But you can see we're just struggling at the moment with a lot of mistakes, and that allows Lance Stroll to get through and up into 11th position. We try and fight back around the outside, we can't get through, and Stroll maintains a position. He's up into 11th, and we will just continue on behind him for a bit longer. We will have the help of DRS now along the straight, but we're a bit far back to really do anything at the moment, so we'll just need to worry about the cars behind, I think, because that's Esteban Ocon going up the inside, and we've got to worry about the Frenchman now as we go side by side through turn 1, and we'll maintain the position and stay ahead of Esteban Ocon. And as we continue on, we are going to try and gain on Lance Stroll, but he's getting further in front, so hopefully we can set a good lap here and get closer once again, because we are losing touch with Lance Stroll. And as we continue on, people start making the first round of pit stops, so we have to start thinking about that soon too. I actually don't have Jeff at the moment. I've had a complete radio failure, let's call it, and I don't have Jeff telling me about the strategy, about the cars around, so at the moment I'm completely just flying solo. I don't know what happened, but I was pressing the radio button and nothing was happening, so that's a tricky one. But anyway, we continue on, and Stroll's in now. He's into the pits, and we are going to follow him in. This is, I think, our scheduled lap, as we're very late on the brakes and maximising the pit entry there. We gain a lot of time on the Canadian, so that's great. That means maybe our team has a chance to jump Aston Martin. Hopefully we can. If they have a slow stop, if we have a good one, we may just be able to do it. So in we go to the box. Come on, boys, give us a good stop. Is it going to be a 2.2 second stop? It's a great stop, but it's not quite enough. Stroll comes out about a meter in front of us, and it's not enough. But yeah, that's unfortunate. We couldn't quite get the job done, but that was so close. So good stop by the crew nonetheless, as we have an absolute disaster on the pit exit and lose all of that time we just gained and more, so that's unfortunate, but we will push on and try and gain that back, and eventually we do, and with the DRS advantage we may be able to get up the inside of Lance Stroll here into the first corner. We have a long hard look into the first corner, and it comes to nothing as we slot in behind. Once again, just didn't have that last bit of confidence and the last bit of pace to get up the inside. And yeah, that would have been a bit too much of a dive, because it's not a slow corner, turn 1, and we lost so much time doing that. We actually dropped out of DRS range once again, so we're going to need to push hard once again to catch up, and we do over that lap and have DRS once again. This time we're actually a lot closer, and we go for the move up the inside of Lance Stroll, nice and easy. We get the job done nicely that time, and move ourselves up into 12th position at the moment. So still sitting in a decent place, all things considered. With the pace of our car, I just don't think we can really do too much more at the moment. Sonoda is in the top 10, so that is promising that he is still up there. Probably have to watch out for Ocon potentially passing him, but we'll see how that goes. Hopefully Sonoda can hold on to the position, but clearly our car just doesn't have the pace around this circuit. So as we continue on, we are continuing to struggle with turn 1. And anyway, you can see in the top right, we're up to P10 as other drivers have made their second stop. We will be doing that soon. We have to respond to that as we have a bit of a slide on the exit. Like I said, we don't have Jeff to tell us what's going on in terms of strategy, so we just have to respond to what's going on around us. Luckily, in this particular race, I did actually look at the number of laps in each stint, which is not something I normally do. Normally I just sort of rely on Jeff to say, alright, pit now. But yeah, I paid attention to the length of each stint for some reason at the start of this race, which is very lucky. But yeah, onto the medium tyres now, and we push on with the races. Raikkonen goes around the outside. Kimi going full send into turn 1, and just about leaving enough space on the apex for us. That was very trusting that we weren't going to understeer or outbrake ourselves there. Kimi Raikkonen not leaving a lot of room for error, so yeah, that was a bold move by Kimi, but it worked for him and he got the position. So we're going to need to take a leaf out of his book as we go to the outside, almost off circuit there, braking on the curb, but we make the move round the outside of Kimi Raikkonen, and taking that leaf out of his book, we retake the position as well. So that is job done, and we can push on. Hopefully Raikkonen can hold up Lance Stroll a bit through the middle sector. Here's a replay of the end of that move as we got the job done on Kimi, and we can push on with our race now. I think we've still got Giovinazzi up the road, but I think other than that there shouldn't be any other traffic cars in the way. You know what I mean. Cars on different strategies, or cars that haven't pit yet. But Gio pits before we catch up to him, and we move ourselves back up into 12th. where we should be in this race. But after that, we were getting further and further ahead of Lance Stroll, and we couldn't catch up to Ocon either. So we're kind of in a world of our own now, as we're getting blue flagged for Max Verstappen. We're going to let him go into the first corner, and Hamilton's hit us and spun. Lewis Hamilton was putting pressure on Max Verstappen, wanted to get a move on, but very aggressive there into the first corner, and did not see us, I don't think, and just whacked into the side of us, spun off the road. Into the gravel goes Lewis Hamilton, and he is, I think he's out. He's pulling up to the fence, so Lewis Hamilton, I think, is out of the race. What a disaster. It was not a huge hit, just, it was a decent whack, but not enough to damage the car too badly, so not sure what's going on there with Lewis Hamilton. He just made some awkward contact, and the tyres just lost grip, and here we go. He's pulling up to the fence. I think he is out. No, he's reversing back out. Lewis Hamilton is not out of the race. He is still in, and is going to try and continue on, but he's lost a whole bunch of time and places. Here's the onboard with Daniel Ricciardo. He was in 5th position, now up to 4th, as I think that's Carlos Sainz trying to go around the outside of Hamilton. Not sure if he'll quite get that done, as now Sergio Perez has a problem, a mechanical issue for Sergio Perez, and look at the McLarens go through. They now take 2nd and 3rd for Norris and Ricciardo. 2nd place is cursed at the moment. Lewis Hamilton running 2nd, spins off the road. Sergio Perez running 2nd, a mechanical failure. What is going on in this last stint of the race? It's all gone a bit crazy at the front, but we were very close to making contact with Schumacher there. We're moving to the right to try and open up the next left-hander, and Schumacher leaving just enough room for us. I do take a bit of a weird line through there, admittedly, so that is half on me at the same time. But yeah, it's tough being in the Hasses. They are a long way behind everyone else, it seems, in terms of just their car pace. They've got nothing, nothing going for them, unfortunately, for Haas, and we to catch up to Bottas as well, who's had a pretty tough time this season. But yeah, it's been tough for Bottas in that switch to Haas, not going well in the first 2 rounds or this one. But anyway, around the final corner comes Max Verstappen. He wins the Portuguese Grand Prix. Great stuff by the Dutchman, and we are going to come around to finish in 11th position in the end, just outside the points. But thankfully Yuki Tsunoda will come home in 9th, so we won't come away empty-handed as a team. But yeah, it's still a relatively disappointing result. We come into this round looking pretty strong in terms of we brought a lot of upgrades, more than the teams around us. We had a car that could fight, but it just did not translate onto the circuit, and both myself and Tsunoda struggled quite a lot throughout this one. So yeah, it was a tough one. Also, this end of the race, driving around is taking a long time. I think it's to do with the radio failure and not triggering Jeff's end of race radio.
And that's it then for the Portuguese Grand Prix, and what a sensational victory they've managed to pull off here. Tell me, Ant, how did they manage to achieve this win?
I feel like consistency was probably the key today. There's being quick, and then there's being quick lap after lap after lap. If you can do that, you can capitalise on other people's errors without making many of your own. And that's an approach that can push you a long way up the field.
Red Bull are our winners today after showcasing some incredible driving. There's been a huge push from them lately to stay competitive with the other teams, and they're certainly proving themselves.
Well, Max Verstappen wins the Portuguese Grand Prix. 2nd place goes to Lando Norris, and Danny Rick makes it a double podium for McLaren.
Max Verstappen now owns the top spot in the Drivers' Championship. After an incredible day of racing, who was your driver of the day, Ant?
Let's give it to Esteban Ocon. That was a commanding performance today. Very impressive indeed.
It's time to check out the constructors' standings. McLaren continue to increase their gap at the top. Meanwhile, Ferrari have improved their position. A strong weekend from them as they fight their way towards the top. I'm equal parts exhausted and elated with this weekend of Formula One. Be sure to join us for the next one.
Well, there we have it, the end of the Portuguese Grand Prix. we don't score points for the first time this season. Tsunoda does, so that is something. But yeah, it was a tough day for us. Max Verstappen with a great start. He was under pressure from Hamilton for basically the entire race until that mistake at the end for Hamilton. So yeah, it was a great drive from Verstappen. He did not have the fastest car. He did not get pole position, and Hamilton was right on him the whole race. But Verstappen held on at all the critical points, and eventually Hamilton made his own mistake. But yeah, that is the way it went for the front runners. Nikita Mazepin got his first points in Formula 1 with a decent drive to 8th position, so that was alright for him, and showing signs of improvement in that Mercedes slowly getting to grips with his new car, so it's good signs for him that he is starting to climb up the order, and you know, maybe showing Mercedes that they did sign the right driver in the end. But yeah, for us though, yeah, it was just a tough day all around. We lose a spot in the Drivers' Championship. We dropped from 4th to 5th. Lando Norris overtook us with that second place for him. I mean, to be fair, we were in a very elevated position after getting lucky, to be honest, in the first two races. Getting lucky in might be the wrong word, but we scored some results that were beyond the regular speed of this car, let's put it that way. But yeah, it was a much tougher time in a car that should have been better than in the last few races, so I guess it all balances out in the end. But still 5th in the championship this early on in a car that's, you know, only going to improve from here is pretty good, so I guess I'll take that. In the constructors, we lose a place as well to Ferrari, so yeah, I suppose that's also just to be expected. But yeah, that is I think just about all there is to cover from this race. I don't think anything else too crazy happened, but Hamilton will be losing points in the driver's title as well after this one.
The fans really seem to enjoy that. You made it look easy. What was your teammate's secret to success today?
Being good at the circuit. That's probably a big one. But yeah, he drove well today.
Your teammate seems to be having a hard time pushing past the competition this season, don't they?
It's always tough to overtake. I think we don't necessarily have the package we thought we did heading into this weekend, so maybe the car just wasn't quite there. But yeah, in this current era of Formula 1, it's always tough to overtake.
That was a close finish. How were things between the two of you?
Yeah, we had a great battle with the Lance today, so that was a lot of fun to have that battle on circuit, wheel to wheel.
You left some bodywork out there on the track. Were you struggling for grip?
Blame Hamilton.
Great. Well, that's everything.
Alright, so that brings an end to the Portuguese Grand Prix weekend. We do beat Lance Stroll, so that helps us out in the rivalry. 14 points to 8, thanks to that DNF he had in the first round. He's losing a lot of points there, unfortunately for him, but yeah. For us, Yuki Tsunoda levels up to acclaim 14, so he's still a better driver than us, apparently. But nonetheless, we are inching towards level 20 in the team acclaim, 17 at the moment. We do pass one of our sponsor objectives. We don't score enough points, but we do get the qualifying one thanks to Tsunoda, so that is great. $3.3 million in the bank. We might be able to do something with that, but we'll see. So straight to the activity timeline, we're going to do the second driver performance review, which I don't actually think I've seen before. It'll boost his focus, but yeah, I'm not sure if I've actually seen that activity before, so I'm curious whether that's related to that interview question or not. We're also going to do the second driver press tour to boost his acclaim. We will visit sponsor headquarters, that'll boost our team acclaim. We'll do the durability team building to increase their morale. And we'll do the chassis equipment upgrade to increase their morale and give us a few resource points. So one of our sponsor contracts is expired, the one for A&F, and we're just going to keep them. Their goal is to qualify in P10 or better, and we should be able to do that if we're not just bad. So hopefully continuing on into the future, that is a goal we should be able to achieve every weekend. So going through the timeline now, we immediately get a department event, so let's go check that out.
Unfortunately, we need you to step in and make an executive decision here.
So unfortunately we've had a system crash in the aero department, and they've lost a bunch of data about the drag performance of the car. So in short, Sonoda can spend some extra time in the simulator, or the department can do some additional tests to make up for lost time. It'll either take a hit to Sonoda's focus, a fairly significant one, or reduce the aero morale by 10%. Given the emphasis we're placing on Sonoda's focus this season, we're going to go for the morale because it doesn't have a direct impact on on-track performance.
The department wants me to pass on their thanks for helping out.
Continuing through the timeline again, then we get our personnel upgrade that we purchased last time. That is to the fitness center. If I remember correctly, that increases racecraft awareness and focus, I think. And that actually increases Sonoda's overall rating to 90. So he is actually a very highly rated driver now, just with still a fairly low focus. So we're going to need to continue working on that over the season. Back to the timeline, and we continue on once again. We get another department event, this one for the personnel department.
We need your input on how to address an issue concerning our driver.
And this one is very interesting because Sonoda wants to increase the intensity of his fitness routine, and that will give a massive boost to his focus. It's got the 3 up arrows, so that's a huge increase in focus, but a -10 to awareness. So that is a huge swing, but we are going to go for it because I think that increase in focus is going to more than make up for maybe a little mistake here or there, because he will just be so much faster nonetheless.
Thanks. I appreciate you taking the time to help out.
Alright, so continuing through the timeline again then, and we are getting close towards the next event, but we haven't done much in the way of R&D, and that's because I've been saving up resource points because I want to focus on a particular reliability upgrade, durability, and that being control electronics, because we only get 2 of those, and they wear relatively quickly, so I want to make sure we have plenty of upgrades to that, to make sure that if one happens to fail early in the season, we can still get through on just the second component, and we won't have to take a further penalty. So that is the reason for that, and we'll probably do the same upgrade for the energy store very soon. Back to the timeline, and we actually have a season break now because the gap between events is just so long that we needed that break for however long that lasted. But anyway, that actually gives us time to do the final event on the activity on the timeline that we didn't get to do, the aero department focus. That actually decreases the morale in every other department, so I don't really honestly know if that's worth it. But anyway, we won't worry too much about that, and we will just continue through the timeline. We've got the ICE durability testing upgrade coming up, and that goes on the car
Our new
successfully.
parts are completed without issue. They'll be on the car ready for the next race weekend.
Unfortunately, we don't have the resource points to go for any further upgrades, so we will continue through the timeline once
we have
again.
a problem regarding our driver.
And now we
How do
have
you want to handle this?
another department event. So in this one, Yuki Sonoda believe that if he spends some more time in the simulator, they can make some R&D breakthroughs, which will give us a 10% discount to the turbo reliability testing upgrade, as well as increase Sonoda's experience by 7. Alternatively, he can attend a scheduled meeting with the durability department, and they will that will achieve 1,000 resource points, which is a lot, to be fair, but in line with every other decision I've made, basically, we're really focusing on Sonoda's stats, and that +7 experience will actually help us earn more resource points in practice. So hopefully in the long run that pays itself off, so we are going to go with that, but I guess we'll find out.
You handled that well. Thank you.
Continuing through the timeline, once again we get yet
Finally,
another.
some good news. It's entirely up to you how we handle this.
Department event. This one, we have some good news. A sponsor has decided to increase their investment in their team, so we can just straight up take the $100,000 credits. What are they actually called in this game? Why don't I know this stuff? Whatever it is, we have 100,000 of them, and we can give that directly to the durabilities department, and that will get us a 50% discount on the MGU-H reliability testing upgrade. And I think we're going to do that. That sounds like a reasonable investment.
Thanks for dealing with that. The department appreciates it.
Next up, we have a fair bit of money, so we're going to invest in the chassis facility, and we're going to go for the quality control upgrade. Heading through the timeline again, we get another payment of weekly resources, and we are going to spend those on that MGU-H reliability upgrade that we just got the discount on. And that finally brings us to the end of this episode. It's been another long outro, another long gap between events on the calendar, so yeah, there was a lot to do. We didn't do too much in the way of performance upgrades, so we could be falling behind a bit again by the time we get into the next event, but I guess only time will tell. But other than that, then I don't think there's too much else left to cover, so I'll say thank you so much for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it, and I will see you next time.